God, I always have a hard time with bottles. There we go. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Engineers Without Filters podcast, episode 82. I'm your host, Jacob Thompson, and tonight I'm drinking a classic Lagunitas IPA.
Nice.
I'm Joseph the Grand Champ, and I'm drinking New Belgium 1985 IPA.
Ooh.
I forgot I'm next for some reason. I'm Gabe, and I'm having the classic Two-Hearted Ale from Bell's.
I haven't had a Two-Hearted in so long. That sounds really good.
Yeah, me either, and it's really fucking hitting the spot.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to get some when I'm back in Michigan soon. And I am drinking. This is a new one to me. I actually hadn't even heard of it. It's a gift from my roommate's girlfriend. It's from Moonhill Brewing, Blood Orange Wit.
Ooh, that's gonna be good.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Yeah.
Dayton, we almost were all four drinking IPAs, and then you decided to ruin it, though.
Yeah, sorry. You know, I gotta.
Dayton,
Are you?
No,
how much
I'm not
weird
sorry at
beer
all.
can you bring on the plane when you come to visit us?
How much what?
Weird beer are you allowed to bring on the plane?
Dude,
are you
I
even
don't,
allowed to?
I don't know, honestly.
Probably not.
Maybe
in your
check it.
carry-on you can't. I think in
Yep.
checked bags you can.
Yeah, because they want you to buy the $10 beer. The one that those are safe.
And it's also
Mhm.
the liquid restriction.
Yeah, it's a liquid restriction more than anything.
No, it's a bomb. Beers are bomb.
I honestly, maybe in a carry or in a check bag, they might be. I don't know. They don't pressurize that section.
$10 beers, not bombs. So just get expensive beers. Be like, sorry, I paid.
Well, and knowing Dayton, Gabe, there's no chance in hell he's checking a bag.
No, I
Oh,
have
dude, I
to.
wouldn't.
I have
Why?
to because
Why?
I have to pack 2 sets of backpacking gear,
Oh, yeah.
and like a whole bunch of other stuff. So I can't just take that as my carry-on. But the good thing is with Southwest, I get 2 free checked bags. So
Like a year? Or did you get like a bunch of
No.
reward points?
no,
flight.
like
Shit.
that's just per flight. You get that.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
dude,
gonna fly them more.
Southwest is the freaking goat.
Mhm.
Good to know.
Yep.
I
They're
wonder.
one of the top tier. Way better than Spirit.
Yeah.
Well, everything's better than Spirit.
Except Southwest is still pretty cheap. Like compared to like you know, like all like the big dogs, they're cheaper than those, but they're like way better.
Well, the problem with Southwest is that they don't have a lot of. They don't always have the flight you need. I think the
Right.
reason they're able to do so well is because they have very specific routes and like they don't really
Yeah.
deviate much.
Yeah, that is
But-
true.
Dayton, was that shitty airline in New Zealand that everyone said never to go on? That was like insanely cheap. It was like Jet or something like that.
Oh, JetBlue?
JetBlue, I think it was.
Yeah, I
And
never
it was
went on
like-
those.
It was like stupid cheap, but it's like you may or may not die. I don't know. You can get to Thailand for a nickel, but you know.
A nickel in your life.
But you may end up in the ground.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. As always, you can find our show every Monday on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and Google Play. And you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at EWF Podcast, and follow us on Twitch at EWF_podcast. We're recording early this week. We're on a Monday, so we probably won't have any live viewers. Not like we have a ton anyway. But if you want to know when we're going live, head over to Twitch and hit that follow button. You'll get a notification when we go live, and you can watch the episode ahead of time. One thing I gotta say before we start the podcast. So I just made dinner, and I gotta say, if you're someone who says you don't like vegetables, okay, you've never have had asparagus lightly tossed in olive oil, salt and pepper, and baked in the oven. Because goddamn, it's so fucking good.
Dude,
Like-
no, hold on. You're fucking up. You put a little Parmesan cheese on top, too.
Okay, yeah, but that's even. I'm just saying, like even like easier than that. Who
Yeah.
doesn't have oil, salt, and pepper? Yeah,
You'd be
toss it with the
surprised.
asparagus. That's fair. But like it's just so easy and it's just always good. Like it's so hard to fuck it up, you know. And I
I
remember
don't
like
like
we had our
vegetables.
Yeah. Yeah, the vegan doesn't.
yeah they didn't only eat fruit.
Me and Joseph had
And
quite a bit of
grain.
vegetables with our Jack's Supreme pizzas.
Yeah, it had pepper, green pepper, and onion on
And
it.
onion, yeah.
Ooh.
Really got our vegetables.
But I just remember when we had our darty for our senior barrel, and Max was on asparagus duty, and he just kept making it on the grill. And it's awesome because you just pick it up and eat it. It's just so good. Plus, Dayton's mom showed me the trick of you snap it in half ahead of time. So then you only get the part that's like gets
I've
soft.
heard that that's not actually true.
I
Like,
don't know, because like usually
break,
if you cook a whole stock, like you can eat most of it, but you get to the bottom and it's
yeah.
like doesn't always
Well,
cook all the way through.
no, yeah, you cut it, but breaking it doesn't necessarily break it where it's like not woody anymore.
Yeah,
Like
I mean,
you're better
there.
off just cutting it at like you can like usually tell, and you just like cut it at a certain point, and it's usually
Literally
fine.
cut your losses.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, Joseph, I am probably like losing more than I would like to if I just break it, but it's way easier than pulling a knife out and just cutting every single piece of asparagus. Like if you
You
just
cut them
like
all at once. What are you talking about?
you
You
gotta
just
line them up
go.
right, but dude, it's like it bends and it pretty much breaks in pretty close to the right spot.
Yeah, I'm just saying like there's some people that swear by that. Like I don't know, I've heard people like, "Oh, you got to do it this way otherwise like it's not right." And that's not it doesn't necessarily break at the like
Yeah,
transition point.
do
Is
what
my
you
point.
want to do. All I'm trying to say is asparagus is fucking good. It makes your pee smell funny. I mean, what's not to like?
Dude,
Uh,
funny is a nice way of putting it. It is a distinct smell. It's almost as distinct as my farts, you know? Like
yeah, but it's not like as bad as your farts. Like, I'm not gonna pass out.
no, it's
Of
not like I'm
asparagus.
grossed out by this. It's just like, huh, it doesn't normally smell like that. I must have had asparagus.
Yeah, it's finally the first time it happens. If you don't like realize it, you're like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Like Jesus Christ.
Yeah, the first time I got in an asparagus train, like I mean I'd had it before, but I don't think I was like old enough to realize. And I was like, huh. And then I Googled it, like, and it was like suggested search, and like, does asparagus, and it's like, make your peace. I'm like, okay, thank God, I'm normal.
So yeah, let's get into our first topic tonight. So this one I kind of came up with after hearing or from a Reddit post, shocker. But I saw a Reddit post a while ago that was referencing the quote supposedly said by Bill Gates, but I actually looked into it and it's not really confirmed he said it or not, but it's credited to him mostly. And it says, "I always choose a lazy person to do a hard job because a lazy person will find an easy way to do it." And I really resonated with that because I feel like, you know, all of us more or less engineers or at least problem solvers, like I feel like efficiency is a big thing. Um, and to me, like I'd much rather be efficient than anything else. Um, so I thought it was a cool quote where it's like, yeah, like a lazy person will figure out the easiest way to do your hard job. So I kind of want to talk about that. One, if you guys have any like examples of that you've done, but also in relation to kind of your work ethic, um, and how you kind of view, I guess, we talked about motivation a little bit a while ago, but I more want to nail down what you guys think of your own work ethic. I'm gonna go to Dayton first. 'Cause I know Dayton's all about those macros in Excel.
Yeah, and maybe this is just like semantics, but I think that lazy is an awful word for that. Because in my eyes, like, if you're lazy, you're not going to put in the time to learn how to do those things, which can really cut down on like efficiency losses. So, like, I get the point of the quote.
Hmm.
It's like, don't just pick someone who's good at putting their head down and just freaking beating the project till it's dead. You want
Hmm.
someone who's capable of looking at it from different angles to try to avoid that. um but yeah, I mean, obviously I'm really big into Excel. Like, I think it's a really good tool, except also it takes quite a bit of learning to like teach yourself how to use like VBA and macros and stuff like that. Like Gabe's done some other stuff like that with his work, so I'm sure that he knows the freaking pains that comes with that.
Oh yeah, but
Um,
in the end, you save so much fucking time.
you do,
Crazy.
you do, and you know what? This is like on topic but off topic.
Hmm.
We just got a freaking security update pushed out on our work computers, and it bricked one of my spreadsheets. and I am just like beyond pissed. Like it's just like
You
so
wanna-
stupid. Like
Want to hear some complete horse shit? We updated from Office 19 to 365. They didn't tell us. I had like 20 documents open because I'm a monster. I'll admit, but it didn't. I didn't save any of them, and like I'd probably say 5 or 6 of them I was working on, and it just rolled out, uninstalled Office 19. None of that shit was saved, and they just started installing 365 on top of it. I was so pissed. I like complained to my group chat, and even like today, someone's like, "I just lost 20 of my documents." Like, why not tell us? Tell me you're gonna fucking uninstall Word.
See what
And
do you
like
think
during
is
the
better?
middle of the day.
Yeah, it was like 10 o'clock. I was working on something and it just closed. I was like, "What the fuck?" And then I clicked on Word. It's like, "This does not exist anymore." It's like, "What the fuck is going on?"
See, Gabe, would you rather have that or would you still be using Office 2010?
Well, I was using 13, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like I hope that we get like the new Office, but like I wonder if that is part of like the issue. Like I wonder if like the Windows build is like too new for like the Office that we're using. So like
For the macros.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
I
wonder
haven't
if
had any
that's-
issues yet.
wonder if that's why they went to 365, because that's pretty much it now, right? And it's essentially a subscription where you just always have the latest version of Office, right? I don't
Yeah.
think they're going to be doing these big like 2010, 2013 versions anymore.
No, they made
hopefully everyone
19,
gets on that.
literally like September.
Okay. I don't know. It seems like everyone should get on 365, because hopefully then these companies won't be bogged down with old software, and then this shit happens.
Yeah, I don't know, but that's really fucking frustrating because I put a lot of time into that spreadsheet. It's like
Yeah.
it's like seeing like I don't know.
Your child get curb stomped.
Yeah, like it's just like I put so much time into this and effort, blood, sweat, and tears.
Well, and going back to the
nothing.
quote, I feel like it's, and what you're talking about, Dayton, it's like that's kind of what coding is in a nutshell. Is like I feel like coding is just finding a more efficient way to do something, but you have to build it yourself, right?
Yeah.
Like you have to build this process or this program to complete a task that you didn't want to do manually every single time.
Yeah, yeah, and like my main gripe with the quote is that someone who's lazy won't learn those tools to do that.
Yeah, that's fair. I think I agree. I think lazy might be not the best word, but I also can't
Like I
think of a
agree with
better
the
word for it.
sentiment of it.
Yeah.
Like,
Because, like, you know, you could also argue a lazy person would just figure out a way to not do the job or get someone else to do it, you know?
or just not do it and just wait for their inevitable demise. Like,
Wait for their doom.
yeah.
Worst case, you get chewed out. All right.
Yeah, it's like the lazy person doesn't give a shit. They see the paycheck and like, all right, let's go.
Well, and that's the funny thing. So I mentioned a Reddit post. The post was asking, like, have you used this, or what's the biggest example of this you've seen in your, like, work or life or whatever? And a lot of the quotes are people who, like, yeah, I figured out some Excel macros and was able to do my job in, like, 5 minutes every single week. But I had to pretend like I was busy the entire time, so they didn't give me more work, you know? And it's like, is that person lazy or is that person really smart, you know? Like, it's also kind of a product of the system in America of how we pay for work, but
Yeah, because like if they sure they can get done with their work for the week in like 5 minutes or whatever. I'm sure it's an exaggeration because if it's a week's worth of work, there's no way in hell that macro runs in 5 minutes.
but yeah,
But like also it's like if they want to progress at all, or at least they could progress way faster probably if they got more work to do. I'm sure it depends on like the job and everything like that and how like much you're valued at your company, but seems like it'd be a good idea to take on some more. But
Yeah, I
That's
don't
just
know.
my 2
Sometimes
cents.
I'm a little careful about that though, because like sometimes, for example, I had a couple projects on the back burner. I don't want to get a new one started, right? So I was like, I'll work on a bunch of small stuff until this stuff kicks up before. Like I had a back burner of like small small item things I had to do. I'm gonna get these done before I go and like ask for more work, because then they'll be like, here's a whole other fucking project, and then I have 3 projects, right? And then it's like, okay, now I have a week where I'm running around doing 3 different things.
Yeah, see, yeah, that makes sense. That's a situational thing. Like I feel like the people who can automate their entire job for the entire week, they're doing very routine things.
Yeah, that's
Every
I
true.
can't imagine they get a new project every week that you could just
Yeah.
automate.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
easily.
They're expected to like take in data that comes in every single week and, process it in a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same every single time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I've done quite a bit of automation stuff since I've started working through, like Dan was saying, like Excel, and also doing like PowerShell, which is like a Windows-based one.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been fucking awesome because it helps me be lazy. Like, I guess lazy, not lazy again is a bad way to put it, like more efficient. Because a lot of the work can be very tedious. Like, for example, when we build up systems, I have to like collect everything that's installed and what versions they're on. So in case something breaks, we can be like, well, go back to this version. This is what it shipped with, and we knew it worked then. Super boring. It's like 20 different things. So I think of it as like, okay, I'm going to spend maybe a day, 2 days programming this, right? But if I were to just do it manually, it'd probably only take me 20 minutes. But I get to use that every single time the next time that I have to do that task, and it takes 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it's like you got to find that formula. Like, okay, how long is this going to take me to develop? How much time is it going to save me? Okay, is there a net positive time saver? And is it like tedious work, or is it really not that bad? Like, I think about that before I program anything. And holy shit, some of that stuff is so fucking nice to have. Like, I just hit a button and it collects everything, dumps it to a text file for me, and I just copy paste it into a spreadsheet, and I'm done in literally like a minute. It's insane.
Mm-hmm.
Versus before having to be like, oh, I gotta find this registry key, and then you gotta go to the registry key search editor. It fucking sucks for people who don't know what registry keys are. It's just like a super long string I had to search. Then you have to find the correct one, and then like right click properties. Okay, it's this version. And then you have to manually type it on your laptop. Fuck that. No. Dump it to a text file. Boom. I'm ready. So much time.
And I will say the other thing that goes into like that sort of like equation on like if you should be doing or like automating this is what you learn in the process. Because a lot of the things, like a lot of the different like automation projects, I end up learning like different like skills with either like VBA or macros, and then that makes like making things down the road way faster because I learned how to learn those skills.
Well, and then you're better at programming the next thing, right? Your development time is way shorter because you're like, oh, I know half of these things versus
or you can just
zero of these things. Yeah, or you can literally steal it, which is the best part. Stealing your own code is so awesome.
Wait, I've seen this before.
Yeah,
Hold on.
Hell yeah.
Who's this dumbass that wrote it this way?
Hey, it's not stupid if it works. I go by that motto when I program.
I think the frustrating thing for me is like, and this may be like a entry level problem, or only when you're at the beginning at a company, but it's like, Gabe, if you do figure that thing out, right? It's a you and another person are both assigned the same task. You figure out this macro and the other person doesn't. And after you figure out the macro, you're getting it done way faster, so you get more work. And this other person's doing it the old way, and they're spending the same amount of time on projects, but they're getting way less done as you, right? But you're getting paid the same. And it's
here's what I do, Jacob. I share it with everybody. Everyone can have it.
I share it with everybody too.
Yeah, I've made 2 big programs and I've given them to everybody. Like, nice. And the other team members do the same thing. So there's a lot of bullshit we don't have to deal with anymore because someone's like, "Oh, I had this idea. I did it in a day. I had this idea," and you all work together.
Yeah, I think the main difference between like Gabe, it sounds like your like team environment is very similar to mine. Like compared to like, I'm assuming Jacob, this is like your internship experience, or it's like I feel like Gabe, and Joseph, yours might be this way too, but you haven't talked that much yet.
He's like shutting Joseph down in every corner.
No, I'm fucking tired as shit. I had a long day at work, and I'm just tired. I wasn't
dogging you. I was just saying. Like,
no,
I
know.
Want to exclude you.
I'm just fucking tired, man.
It sounds like Gabe in my environment was more collaborative, whereas I think like at your internship, Jacob, it was more like everyone for themselves.
Yeah, and it wasn't even like competitive. It was just like some people were even in like we're in like different departments. Like there's another intern, another department. We're working the same amount of hours, but I'm getting
Mm-hmm.
way more done than them. And it's like, granted, if we were actually like employees, I have a lot higher chance of getting promoted
Mm-hmm.
faster, right? So it's like you are rewarded eventually, theoretically, if you have a good, I guess, management structure. But it just sometimes it feels like, well, why should I do more if I would get paid the same for doing quote unquote what a normal worker does? And I'm
Mm-hmm.
not saying that's a good perspective. I'm just saying like that sometimes like crops into your head when you just get frustrated with stuff where it's like this person's getting rewarded the same amount I am for doing less work, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But most, I shouldn't say most. The three of our full-time jobs are more, they're reward or what is it? Effort based? Not effort
Mhm.
based, but like
Like
progress based, whatever. Like
yeah,
like
results
we
based.
probably all have yearly reviews,
Mm-hmm.
right?
This Friday. Whoop whoop.
And then like based on that, they're like, okay, this is what you were given, this is what you did, all this. Here you go. You get this bonus or this much pay raise because of this or like, whatever. So
Mm-hmm.
I feel like in certain jobs there still is that. It's like you don't see it you don't get that bonus, every week or whatever, but at the end of the year you get, X%.
Yeah.
So I
No,
feel
you're
like
right.
there is still that. There's still a bit of a
Yeah.
feedback, not feedback, but
I don't
incentive.
know. At the same token, there's a couple people that are on my team that will work extra hours just to do it. Like their productivity is a lot higher than mine, but they're also spending a lot more time in the office.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like I want a work-life balance. Like I'll be productive. I'll hit every deadline. Like I'll stay late if I have um, to hit my deadlines. But I'm not gonna stay extra just for fun. Like
Yeah,
top
I've kind of
performers for sure, but it's like they're top performers because they're putting in all this extra effort. Then they go home and they practice their
mm-hmm.
thing. I go home, go to the gym, and I play guitar and play video games. Like,
Yeah, I've realized definitely that like some people just genuinely like to work. Like to me that is like it's like very
who are you?
yeah, it's a very like foreign idea to me. It's like don't get me wrong, I don't mind going into work and I find a lot of the challenges to be uh very rewarding and it feels good to overcome them. But to be working for like on the same stuff for that long is just like absolutely
It's
insane
gotta
to
be
me.
so tiring.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and we've talked about that before where it's like priorities, right? Like we all, I think, are pretty like prioritize our free time as like something that's really important to us. But just because we don't like care about work as much as other people doesn't mean we have bad work ethics. That's what I kind of want to talk about with this topic. Is like, you know, yeah, we all want to make sure we have that time at the end of the day, or at least during the week, where we can just shut our brain off and not worry about anything. And we put our 40 hours in and we're done. I'm not gonna put any extra hours in if I don't have to. But
Mm-hmm.
I think it's safe to say we all are like good workers. Like when we're there, we're gonna get our shit done and we're gonna do it well. Um,
Definitely.
and that kind of happened to me recently. Like today, I just had to do a bunch of just like dumb shit for like orientation and just like a bunch of little things I just had to get done, just to check off the checklist. And sometimes when I get in kind of like a zone, I just like will just not eat for like hours on end. 'Cause I'm like I can't like stop until I just finish all these things because like there's all in my head. And I was just going back and forth with this emails with this one person trying to figure out something with like one of my transcripts that was messed up. And I was just getting so like frustrated. Of like I could just walk away and just go eat lunch, but no, I'm gonna sit here and like until I finish this thing because like I just need to have that like that check mark on my
Closure.
to-do list. Yeah, that closure.
Mm-hmm.
And even like we're recording on Monday. Yesterday on Sunday, I had a bunch of errands to do, and I just didn't stop doing things because just when I could take a break, something else popped up, and I'm like, oh, I could do this quick. Oh, I could do this quick, and then it was like 5:30. I hadn't eaten all day, and it's like, all right, now I can finally be done. But like that's does that to me all the time. But like what I'm trying to get at here is like when I like I'm in the zone when I'm in work mode, I get my shit done and I do it well, but that doesn't mean I need to work all the time.
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I was wondering with you guys, like, what is your kind of your you're in the zone, or how do you think about your own work ethic, that sort of thing? Joseph, I'll go to you because you haven't talked that much.
I've noticed I'm very deadline oriented, which is not healthy.
That's most people, dude.
Yeah, but like I've noticed the past 2 weeks, I get there and like I don't know, maybe it's because I'm tired, whatever. I start chugging along, and it's like the morning creeps by. Like just I feel like I'm not doing anything. Like I obviously still am, but like it just feels like I'm not making progress. 2:30 hits and I am like, let's fucking go. And I just crank shit out. Like I just get in the zone, and then it's like 5 o'clock. It's like, oh fuck. I haven't really been working that long because it's, the fucking end. It's already 2:30 when I like quote unquote started. But like, I don't know. So that's how I end up working late most times is because I just can't. It's like, oh, it's almost the end of the day. I should like actually focus or, whatever. I get into it's a very bad habit, and I'm not a big fan of it. But
That's so funny because like for me, it's like once like 2 o'clock rolls around, I'm like checked out. Like, well, because so I start work at 6. I pretty
Mhm.
much I actually do work like genuine first shift right now, 6 to 2, and so it's like I freaking crank workout like all throughout the morning, and then the afternoon rolls around, and then people are like going to get lunch, and then I start getting distracted by people getting lunch and stuff like that, and then yeah, once 2 o'clock rolls around, I'm just like bye. So it's just very interesting, Joseph. That
I think it might be just a human thing of like it's individual based of like when you wake up and when your body is just kind of up and running. Because like for me, my prime zone is like 11 to 3 ish. Um, Granted, I've been sleeping in more recently, so it takes me a little bit to like get up in the morning. But once I'm like at my desk and I'm like awake, and I've already showered and shit for the day, I'm in work mode and I can crank that for a while. But once I eat, then I go into a food coma, and then it's kind of kind of tapers off. So that's why some of my days don't eat for a while, because I know if I eat, then I'll kind of start to zone out.
Yeah, I guess like for me, I'm very much like my output is very it's related to the input of work. Like if you give me a decent amount of work, like if you give me a lot of work, I'll get a lot of work done. But if you give me a little bit, like there are weeks where there's just less work. It's like okay, now what do I do? And they're like, oh, go do this very tedious thing for the rest of the week. Like
mm-hmm.
that's not rewarding for me at all. So I like try and find my own ways to like make it rewarding. Like, oh, I had this idea, I have some time, I'm gonna go spend it on that. But I don't know. I
That's so
think,
true, Gabe. Actually, like, yeah, the more things I have to do, the more likely I am to do them.
oh
But
yeah,
if I just have only one thing to do, I will take as long as
yep.
possible to do it.
And that's the thing too. I'm super deadline oriented. Like if you give me like Joseph, if you give me 2 weeks to do something, it's gonna get done in 2 weeks. Because I'll be like, oh, I got this stuff to do. I've got time. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but if you give me a week, I don't know. Also, I'm also very dependent like my boss's expectations of me, which is kind of monkey brain if you think about it. But like if someone's like, I expect you to figure this out, I'll fucking figure it out. Like eventually, I'm gonna figure it out. Like I'm gonna make you think that I know what the fuck I'm doing with enough Google searches. Like last Friday, I had like a pretty simple task, but it broke in a really special way. And I reached out, fucking business term. I hate it that I keep saying that. Fucking reach out. Talked to a few other people who like kind of knew what they're doing, and they didn't see it either. Uh, and they're like, "Well, it needs to be done by Monday." I'm like, "Okay," and fucking go on the internet, figure it out. And 2-3 hours later, I found the answer, and I had it done by the end of the day. It just if you tell me a date that it needs to be done, I'll figure a way out.
Mm-hmm.
But if you
Yeah.
give me 2 weeks to do it, I'll go a little slow.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing my manager always says. He's like, the work expands to the amount of time that you have.
Yeah.
And
Oh, it's so true.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So like for us, like we have like different like priority levels, because like obviously we're trying to like construct these massive, massive things. So things come in most of the time they're just like routine. So that just means like yeah, I just kind of do it. Doesn't really need to get done super fast. But then, like if like something like the top priority comes in, then generally like that needs to get done like that day, and that is kind of like cascades the deadlines of like all the other things that are like fell behind it. And yeah, it's just kind of that's how you get out of control with some of like the some of the things that they're just like, oh yeah, that's been with me for like 2 months.
It'll get done
Yeah.
eventually.
I've noticed I'm pretty weird with like prioritizing my work. Like I'm compartmentalized. It's like eating food where like I go, okay, you give me 4 tasks and then I rank them in my head of importance and time. Like, okay, this needs to be done in a day. This has a week. So then I'm like, this is all I'm gonna focus on for now. Like, I'm gonna get this done. If like even like a small thing comes up and it's not a big priority, I'm like, fuck you. I'm working on this, and I just like finish that, and okay, what's the next thing I need to do? I just like very like I don't like mixing because then I like forget shit unless I need a break. Unless it's like, oh, I'll do a 15-minute thing that like is pretty mindless, and I need to come back and think about this. Otherwise, it's just way easier for me to just put all my energy into one task versus like having I don't know 3 tasks going on at once. Like some people thrive off that shit. They're like, oh, I'm gonna go run over here. I'll go help you with this real quick. Like I'll help you later. Let me figure this out.
Yeah. No, I'm the same. I need to dig down on one thing, finish it, move on to the next one.
Yeah.
And the more
You're not that way. Are you the run around guy?
Yeah.
I'm really bad if I'm like working on something, like I'm focusing on like this task, and then in the middle of it, I'm like, oh yeah, there's this thing that like kind of feeds into it or is like related. So like that needs to get done too at some point, and then I'll just like shift to that and completely forget what I was working on originally. It's
Dude,
like,
you have
okay,
ADHD.
a little bit, but it's like, okay, because if I don't, it'll like eat at me. It's like, yeah, I should write it down and like come back to it, but it's like it kind of feeds into it, so I need that done first, and I shift over, and sometimes something else comes up, but it's like, okay, I got this main thing that I always got to come back to like everything, so it all comes together in the end.
Mm-hmm.
that sometimes happens to me, but not in a productive way or not in a work way. Where it's like I'm working. If I'm trying to like read like a textbook, and all of a sudden I think about like some movie. I'm like, what was that guy in? And then a new tab, rabbit hole. And then all of a sudden I'm watching YouTube videos. Like, no, I gotta get back. Gotta get back to the work. But going back to what Gabe was saying earlier about like the more things you have, the more productive you are. I think I also have like I need like initial conditions to be met to get into the zone, and one of those is like I need to have like all of the like possible data I can before starting something, or else I'm like I'll just wait until I get it. Just as an example, like the job I was working at for the past year was a lot of like me making spreadsheets, which is fine. And so like I'd get like my boss like, hey, can you like organize this data into a spreadsheet? Sure. Look at the data, and I realize like I don't really understand, what one number means or one column means, or I'm like, oh, I actually need this in like yearly formats. Yeah. And so, email them back, hey, I need this extra thing, and say they take 3 days to get back to me. I'm not going to do anything in those 3 days because, like, yeah, I could start this spreadsheet, but I don't want to start until I have all of the like things I think I need, because I don't want to like start and then realize I did it wrong after I get this new data. I'd rather have everything at once and then just crank it out. And maybe that's inefficient time wise, but for me, like, I just need to have all of like those conditions met. I need to have all of the possible tools in the toolbox, I guess is one way I think about it. I need to have everything first, and then I can start. Um, Otherwise, it just is not going to get done.
Yeah, like at work, like at a very basic level, this project team comes to like our department, which I do obviously the networking, the IT side of stuff. So I do like the computer build part of it. So they like build up all these documents. Like, here's what the customer wants. They talk to the customer. They give us like a couple documents that are important, and like, okay, use these to build your shit. Like, that's pretty much all they have to do. And the last couple projects I've been on, they gave us like half documents, and we're like, it's fine, we'll just half build while like we wait for the answers. And it's been a complete shit show to the point where like the upper management has noticed like I'm on week 5 or 6 of waiting to hear back for like the second half of the stuff, to where they're like, no, like at this point, like we are not doing any builds unless all all these things are checked off. Like you need to have all these. And I had a project supposed to start last week, and I looked at it and I was like, this fucking sucks. And I like talked to the project team like, hey, you're missing all this stuff. We're not gonna have a meeting. And like it's way better because now it's gonna happen this week, but everything's gonna be set and I can just go from 0 to 100. Like I can do the whole build without having to stop and wait.
Yeah.
Versus like now that's in the back burner. It's like way back burner, but it could come up at any point and be like, oh, go do this. So
I think that's super important because like I think it just comes down to like that uncertainty will kind of just wear at you. It's kind of like Gabe, you said before, where it's like if somebody asks you how to do something, you're like, oh, I'm 99% sure this is right, because like you don't want to be certain in case it's wrong.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's kind of the same thing where it's like I don't want to like start this project and put in time into it and then realize something was wrong. Like no, like for me that uncertainty of it, this could be wrong, like eats at me. Like I need to have all of the pieces, and then I can just get it done super fast.
Yeah, I mean, also you have like potential rework too, right? Like,
Yep.
do you have? I mean, depending on how big your project or spreadsheet, whatever it may be, whatever task you have, if you end up getting information later that's like important, oh fuck, I did it this way, so now I have all this stuff to correct. Or you're spending more time on it in the long run.
Yep.
As long as you stack that time that you're waiting with other stuff, like,
yep.
I think that's more efficient.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. It just again comes down to like I just need a certain level of work before I can start working on any of it. It's kind of like a chemical equation. Like I need like I need like an activation energy, and then after I get past that level, then I can actually start to get anything done. So if I'm not at a high enough level of work, it's just not worth it for me to like sit down and get in the zone, because like doing this that one thing will just take forever. Because I'm like, well, I can just do it later. I can just do it later. But once I have 10 things, I can just do them all at once, and it is more efficient in my eyes, I guess. But Joseph, do you have any like initial conditions to get in the zone, or is it mostly just a time thing for you?
It's mostly just the time thing. That's the big. No, that's like the big, like crunch thing. At least for me, is like, if we're near the deadline, like it needs to get done. So like if it's near the end of the day, I need to get it done. So like I don't know, I just start working a bit more efficiently.
Post lunch time checks are real, where it's like, oh fuck.
Well, that's the thing too, is like I usually eat lunch at like 1 o'clock-ish, if not later. And like I start work at like 7. So like I go like 5 hours, 5-6 hours without eating, or like before I eat lunch. And so like it's not even like the food coma like wears me down, or like some people get really tired after eating lunch. I don't know, it like brings me back up, and like that's when I start working.
So Joseph, here's what the question I have for you. So you start at 7 roughly, right?
Yeah.
If you got to work at like noon, do you think you would still get in the zone at 2:30?
No.
Really?
It would be 4 hours before I leave, or whatever it is. A couple hours before I leave.
Because yeah, what I'm getting at here
It's
is
not like it's not because it is 2:30. It's because I want to be home soon, so I need to get this done before I can leave.
So what I'm driving at here is, do you guys think that the way, how do I word this? The way that work is rewarded in the US should change. Right now, it's more or less hour based. Like you work 40 hours, you get your paycheck, kind of a thing. But if you only had to work as many hours as it took to get your shit done, then you'd probably work less hours, but you can still get your shit done. Would that be better? Would you still be as efficient? So like Joseph, let's say you didn't have to work whatever it is, 8 hours, 9 hours. You just had to work enough hours to get your shit done. So if you only had to work from 11 to 5, without that pressure of getting in the correct number of hours, and you still got your shit done, would that be better?
No. Maybe. I don't know. Because I don't know. It's such a weird. It's easy to say, oh yeah, because it's not true.
Yeah.
It's not a situation. Well, it's not a situation that I have to deal with.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to think so, but at the same time, I don't know. I don't know, I guess.
I think that's why like 4-day work weeks are so like popular now, or like I mean not so much in the
They're
US.
rising in popularity.
Like it's becoming more popular because I think people are realizing that it's even same thing with like almost work from home. It's like if you have deadlines, people are gonna reach them, right? And like we said before, it takes as long as it's due. Like the work takes as long as the due date. So like, well, I think a lot of people. I mean, you take breaks, throughout the day, like people do all the time during a 5-day week. But if you're like, here's 4 days, here's the same amount of work, I think people would probably be a little bit more efficient because they know they can work towards a 3-day work weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, but also like Joseph's saying, it's like I've never worked a 4-day work week, so I don't know how I personally would handle it. Like I might be totally fine. I would like to think that ideally it would just I'd have the same amount of output, but who
See,
knows?
I don't think that it would work for a majority of industries, because a majority of industries, especially in engineering, they aren't just like I'm just gonna like dumb this down a lot. It's like, here's 5 cookies and you have to eat these 5 cookies by the end of the week. It's not like that. It's like all right, here's 5 cookies on Monday. Just eat these by the end of the week. Once you eat 4 of them and you have one left, then like, oh, okay, here's some more work. So the work is just always coming in. So like I feel like limiting the number of hours just it's not a solution. Like the way that we work needs to change, if we
Yeah,
want to do something similar to that.
That's a good
yeah,
point. The way that the industry is kind of built up right now doesn't really lend itself to that. Plus, people are kind of expected to answer emails between certain hours just to communicate. You know.
Mm-hmm.
well, I mean, and kind of what Dave was saying, like usually, let's say you get stuff done early, like the immediate response is like, here's more cookies. Like I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you got
Yeah.
okay, you got stuff more done. Okay, that's great. Here's more work, and I guess that's kind of where you also see the problem you were kind of alluding to in the beginning, where there's some people who don't output as much work, which I think is super common. There's going to be people who are higher outputters than others, but then I think sometimes management could take advantage of that because like I know this guy can do 1.5 times the work as this guy. So I'm going to give him 1.5 times the work while the other person gets less, right?
Hmm.
And it's like, is that really fair or is that like challenging for that person? I mean, that's based on an individual level. Like maybe you want to have more work than other people, maybe you don't, but it's also like, I don't know, you're
But as a
rewarding work with more work.
manager, you don't want to overbet on someone, right? If someone
Right.
works at 1% or like 1x speed, right? You don't give them one and a half things to do within that time, if you know that they're not going to output that, or, if they don't have that capability to.
Yeah, that's true. But it's like, again, it all comes back to you're rewarding work with more work, right?
Yeah.
Good job. Here's more things.
See,
Hmm.
I think that we're only looking at it from the monetary standpoint. So like you can get rewarded in different ways at work. Like you might work more, and then that might get reflected in um like networking, like bonuses. Like
Hmm.
you gain favor with like other people, and then you can use that to like either just have a more pleasant work experience, or you can use that as to get a better position later on, or even just like when if you move jobs and you want like them as a reference, they're going to give you a way better reference. um, so a lot of the time I feel like taking on more work isn't it's a delayed gratification. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna work more right now, so then it pays off in the next like 5 years or so, as I've built this network of people that know how hard I work.
That's fair. Do you think that's also like just being in the office more as well, and just having more time with people?
Um, I mean, so like if you just spend more time in the office and you get to know them, I feel like that's like the personal aspect. But if if you're doing like favors for people, or if you're getting like if they're like, hey, can you work on this? I need this done like in like a few hours, and you get it done, then I think those are two very different things.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think that
That's a good
spending
point.
time in the office is like, I don't know. I mean, like, I'm kind of biased because I don't really like spending that much time in the office. Like, if I could spend 40.0 hours in the office every week, I probably would. Um, but
Yeah,
I
because
mean,
like what I
like,
was.
I always am like, I'm gonna sound like such a kiss ass here. Like, I always like, I always did really enjoy helping people. Like, if they're like, oh, hey, like, do you know, like, who can I like contact for this, or who, or like, what does this need to be done? If it takes like 5 or 10 minutes, I help them right away, because to me it's like a 5 minute distraction. Like, I probably need that break anyway, and it helps them get their work done faster because they're not waiting on me anymore. I don't know, for me, like, my personal like work philosophy is get rid of all the people who are freaking trying to ride my ass as possible. Get them off of me as soon as possible. And then, I mean, one, it makes me feel better because then I'm just like, all right, cool. I'm only like holding up this one person right now. And then two, it's like all these people are like, oh yeah, like he always gets back like super quickly. Um,
Mhm.
when I'm in the office, I'll caveat that with when I'm in the office. If you catch me outside of my working hours, nah, you're waiting until the next day.
Yep.
But I
Yeah,
don't know.
no,
I guess
totally.
that probably doesn't sound like too much of a kiss ass. I don't know.
No, I totally understand where you're coming from. Because yeah, like the more people who are waiting on you, the more stressful you are, or stressed
Hmm.
you are.
But I
Um,
think that I think that like actively working towards uh like getting like favors from people is like super beneficial. And I feel like that's kind of like office politics almost.
Yeah, Dane's
yeah.
playing a Game of Thrones.
Yeah, like you kind of need to like know like who you need to know and
Oh yeah.
who you need
Nah,
to
it's
like
super
not.
important to have like friends or like people who like you in different departments. That is
Hmm.
so fucking powerful. That has saved me
Hmm.
so much fucking headaches. Be like, oh, I know a guy in this department, like, and we help each other out. Like, he'll ask me to do some like super quick thing, and then he helps me do this thing. Like, it's
Hmm.
just super nice to have that. But
Yeah.
also, kind of what you're saying though too, like having, I got it, the non-monetary things. I think the other thing, like, if you do have good management, they will recognize that you are, putting out high work, and I would hope they reward you for it.
Hmm.
And if not, I guess you at least have references for another job, right?
Yeah. Yeah. If they don't
But
reward you for it, then leave. Like,
yeah,
I guess the thing I've always dreaded or hated, and again, jobs I've had in the past, but like these are not high level jobs. These are not, they're internships or just like random jobs. But like 4 o'clock rolls around, and you're be there till 5. Supposed to be there till 5, and it's like all my shit's done. I'm not gonna get anything else today. Can I just fucking leave? Like, why do I have to sit in my like desk chair for another hour? Like, nothing's going to happen. And I know you're supposed to be there, and like, you might get an email, you might get some more like something else, but that's happened to me more than once in my life, and it's just like, can I be rewarded with time back? Like, can I just like leave an hour early today because I got all my shit done earlier? I got my shit done on time, like, you know. But because of the way the system is, like, you're supposed to be in the office for a certain amount of hours. And I don't know if that's me being quote unquote lazy, but I don't know. I sometimes I feel like I've gotten everything that was expected of me done, or even more than expected of me done. Why can't I be rewarded with like some time back?
see, I don't know. I think that you can get rewarded, because like it's just not like you're not gonna be able to leave early, except what you
you get
could
to
do.
fuck around.
Yeah, yeah, you can just like you can go talk to people. Like, if you've been busting your ass all the day and like your management knows that, all your coworkers know that, if they see you like freaking shooting the shit for 20 or 30 minutes, like they're not gonna care.
Yeah.
Like, so I don't know. I think like having a good work environment to where you can feel okay with, just like taking like those breaks is fine. Like, I don't
See
know. I
that,
think that's
yeah,
good.
that's actually a really good point because that's something I've like always kind of afraid of, and I think this is like some deep seated psychology in my brain of like I never want to be in trouble or whatever. I'm always
Hmm.
like avoiding conflict. I'm always worried like if I'm at like a job or something and I'm like seen being on my phone, it's like, oh, everyone's gonna hate me, like, oh, he's slacking off,
Yeah.
when And I say I never want to be seen as slacking off. So I either need to be like working like hard or I'm not there. So
Yeah.
I hate that like if people would look at me and think like, oh, like he's slacking or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I struggled with that too for like the first like 6 months, and then like as I started working more with my supervisor, my manager, and like having meetings with them, like I would like walk into their cube or like their office or whatever, and I'd like see them like on their phone, and I was just like, I see them on their phone, and I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna try it. So then like I would just like start using my phone a little bit more, and like if they like come over and talk to me, and I just like put my phone down and I like give them my attention, like they don't care either. Like I don't know, maybe that's just my work environment, but
Yeah, that's
I
kind of
don't
how
know.
mine is though too. Like they know I'm getting stuff done. Like people, like everyone. We have a kickoff meeting on like Monday or kickoff meeting every Monday. We tell it like the team tells everybody what they're doing. So it's like, I'm doing shit. Like
Mhm.
on my phone for a little bit. Okay, like I'm still getting it done.
Mhm.
You know.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, like if you're on your phone for like 5 or 10 minutes, like who cares?
Yeah.
Like 5 or 10 minutes, like what are you gonna do during that? You're gonna freaking read 2 emails, like whatever.
I
I
think
don't know.
that's kind of the root of my entire thing tonight, where it's like I think when I was younger, I had this vision of like, oh, when you're an adult, you work 8 hours a day and you're working for that entire 8 hours. Like that's what adults do. And then you get to be the adult world and you realize nobody works for 8 hours straight. Like they do some work, maybe talk to somebody, do some more work, eat some lunch, shoot the shit, do some more work. Like it's very no one's ever working for 8 hours straight unless they're like crunching on something, right?
Mhm.
And so to me, it'd be like, okay, well, if I'm not working 8 hours straight, why can't I just work 4 hours? Because that's the time it takes me to get everything done, you know. So maybe that's where
Yeah. Yeah, I
everything's
mean,
coming.
kind of like going back to like the office politics. Like I feel like it's a game, and I
Yeah,
feel like this game is here to stay at least for a good period of time. So you might as well learn how to play it.
yeah, no, I definitely
Yeah, it's super. It's like I don't know, I think it's a lot more important than people realize. Like having people that you like and or people to like you. But like Dane was saying, it doesn't really take all that lot. Like just attention and quick help, really.
Mhm.
And then I think they also care less if you are on your phone too. Like if you are known to be helpful and known to be a high output worker and you're on your phone, they're like, well, I know he's been working, so who
Mhm.
cares?
Well, and it's an attitude thing. Like, yeah, let's say you are shooting the shit or you are on your phone and somebody comes to talk to you. If like Dayton said, if you do drop what you're doing and like be attentive, if they ask you to do something, you go do it. That's great. But if you're like, I'll get to it, or you don't look up from your
Right.
phone, then you're a slack. Then you're seen as a slacker, and then like your people's opinion of you will drop
Mhm.
heavily.
Mhm.
Yeah, and like I don't know, I get what you're saying. Like trust me, I wish I could do like 4 hours, like get all my shit done in 4 hours and just go. At the same time, like you can also use that time for that social favor or
Mhm.
like other like you can be at work and be relaxed, within
Mhm.
a few minutes. You can take a break if you need to.
Mhm.
Just sprinkle those sprinkles in, get some good
Mhm.
conversation. I don't know.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's a lot more difficult when you're an intern, as you are, or
definitely.
we all were.
Yep.
It's like you can't. Who are you gonna talk to? The 45-year-old next to you? Like, what are you gonna talk about? Or like I don't know, the other interns who like, depending on the workplace, are like vying for the job.
Mhm.
Well, and yeah, and you're all mostly talking about work stuff, right? Because you're there long enough to know what shit to talk about, or like a
Yeah.
couple interests that that person likes because you had enough time to talk to them.
Hmm.
Okay, I got a funny story about talking about work stuff, okay?
Oh
So
god.
so I don't know what in the hell it is about me, about my personality, about who I am, about how I talk. I don't know what it is, except I always attract the like the most taboo conversations to happen. I don't spark them. I don't prod for them. I am not looking for them, except they always happen. So my first internship, I was basically I was a materials engineering intern working in a lab, and during one of like my like few week rotations, I went up to the engineering section for like the process engineers and like the CAD people and stuff like that, and I was learning CAD, and this guy, I think he was a veteran. I think he was like either in like the army or something like that, maybe Marines, and he starts talking one day about politics, and I was, being like a freshman or like, right out of freshman year, I'm just like, aren't you supposed to like not talk about politics in the office? Like isn't that like rule number one? And then, you know, maybe it's just because when people are like talking to me like that, I just kind of like zone out, and I'm just like, uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yep.
dude, I do that
Yep.
too. When I'm in uncomfortable conversations, it's like, yeah, I get what you might be saying.
Yeah, because like a lot of the time it's just like not worth the
Oh,
effort to like fight back against it. But so this happened,
especially at work.
yeah, especially at work. Maybe that's because like I'm trying to play like the politics game too. Like I'm not trying to like, butt heads with anybody like
Well, you definitely don't want
prematurely.
to. You don't want to pretend to agree either, because that's just as bad.
Well, see, it's different. It's different pretending to agree versus just nodding and saying uh-huh.
Of course,
And
that's what I'm getting
yeah.
at. Yeah.
um and like, as like the few weeks went on, and I'm 3D modeling next to this guy, he brings up topics such as like abortion and like gay marriage and stuff like that.
No.
And I'm just, by like the third week of me sitting in this guy's cube, like, 3D modeling, I'm literally just like clicking on the computer, he's just talking, and I'm just like, uh-huh. And then just like rotating the model around. It's like, yep, yep, goodness, yep, dude, uh-huh. But what happened to me today? Okay, so our janitor every day comes around and picks up our trash around, I don't know, like 10 or whatever. And so this is a different janitor than we had a while back. And I came in like one like Saturday to, or maybe it was a Sunday, I can't remember. I was trying to like build up some time so that I could leave on like a Friday or a Thursday and not work Friday or something like that. And he was like, "Oh, like I've never seen someone in here on Sunday before." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, like, I'm just coming in so I don't have to come in on Friday." And then I asked him, I was like, "So what happened to our old janitor?" And he was like, "Well, about 2 months ago, one of them died while he was working." And I'm just
Oh my
like,
God.
and I'm just like, excuse me, and why did you just say that so bluntly? Like he was working and he died at work. Like what the fuck, man?
Oh
Well,
my
Dane, you
God.
did ask, so
I mean, I did, except like he could have just said like, oh, like yeah, he passed away. But like he just said it like so fucking bluntly. And that was like my first like experience with this new janitor. And I'm like, all right, like whatever. Like I have to like interact with this guy for like 30 seconds a day. Like it'll be fine. So then like today he rolls around, comes and picks up our trash. I usually don't have that much trash. So like usually I'm just like, oh no, I'm all set for today. Thank you though. And so like I hand him my trash bin today, and I'm like, how's it going? Just like standard Monday morning like question. And he's just like, be a lot better if I could get some sleep. And I'm just like, I feel you, man. I feel you. It's freaking Monday. Just kind of just
God.
freaking buttering him up with that freaking bullshit. And he's like, yep, second drive-by in my neighborhood in the past 3 weeks. And I'm just like,
Oh my
and I'm
God.
just like, what? And he was like, yeah, man, first one happened like 3 weeks ago. Last one just happened last night. Freaking woke me up at 3 a.m. Couldn't even leave my house at 3 a.m. Police had shut down the streets. And he's like, yeah, and like gonna have to freaking sell this house and move somewhere else now. And like he's like going talking about all this other stuff. He's like, yeah, and someone, my neighbors literally just moved in last week, and I just looked over at them in the morning when they're on their porch and said, "Welcome to the neighborhood." But so I'm just like, and this guy is like literally shouting it in my office. It's like everyone in my office knew that, you know, I just said, "How's it going?" And like one of my good like coworker friends, he like sits like across like the hallway or like an aisleway and like the next cube over, and after he leaves, like it's kind of like an office scene, like, you know, where like Jim Halpert just kind of like looks like straight
does
into
the
the
look,
camera,
yeah.
and it's kind of like one of those things where like we both lean, like, so like we have like a wall, and then we
Yeah.
both like lean like and look back at each other like that, and he's just like, "What the fuck was that?" and I'm just like, "Bro, I have no clue." And he's
Dude,
like, and he was just like, "That is why I am never in my life living in New London."
I feel like those people just want someone to talk to, and any person that opens like that door, like, oh, some basic human decency. Whoosh, all my problems. I don't know.
I just need to vomit them
And
out.
literally,
real
like
quick.
that other guy at your internship is probably like the only guy you could talk to. So he's just like, "You're not a person on the internet. Let me tell you about how I feel about abortion." I don't know.
And he, like,
Yeah.
he doesn't even care about your like thoughts
He
or
just,
opinions.
he just wants to say
You
it.
gave him the opening of responding to him one time, so now he has
Yeah.
carte blanche to tell you whatever he wants.
Exactly.
And Dayton,
Yeah.
you'd say these people are attracted, or they're coming to you, but you're the one saying, you know, "Hi, how you doing?" Like, you can't
It's
be
the office
these openings,
politics. It's the office politics, man.
I guess.
It's a
But I don't
game
know
and
if
I'm
being
gonna play
buddy-
it.
I don't know if being friends with the janitor is gonna get you a bunch of brownie points.
Sure,
with your
sure it
pot.
is, dude. Are you kidding me? A janitor is the most powerful person in the building. If
Okay.
there's a freaking door unlocked, or if there's a door locked or anything like that, you can ask them. They can unlock
You
it
got the
for you.
keys to the castle.
They do, dude. They got the keys to the castle. And especially, dude, if you freaking clog the shitter one day and you need to get it gone stat, you just go freaking get your janitor friend over there and get the plunger from him.
It wasn't me, but somebody appeared to clog
Dude, you know,
the toilet.
actually speaking of that, someone freaking laid some nasty down in the toilet. And I freaking walked in there, noped the fuck out so fast, dude. That was the biggest shit I've ever seen. Like, I'm not even lying, dude. That was a bowl filler.
Dude. It was the first month I started working. It was talk of the team about this. So there's 3 urinals, and the one is like short, like, because there's always the short one.
Yeah.
But it was like a kid short one, and you know, all adults work there. I would hope. But the one that always had some splash damage on the top of the bowl, and that was like the talk every week, like, who's the shooter? We have the mass exodus of Corona, and they're like, okay, well, there's still splash damage, so either
You guys are playing like Clue over here.
yeah, they're like, either it's someone in this office or we got a JFK situation. There's 2 shooters.
All right,
Well-
I got one more. No, I got one more
Oh.
funny
Okay.
bathroom story. And this
Give it to me.
this isn't from me. It's from one of my friends at work, and he said, "All right, so I'm gonna tell it like I'm him." All right, so he's like, "Yeah, I'm walking into the bathroom one day, and so the bathrooms in New London are like awful. Like they're like nice, but they're always packed. So he walks in there one day, and he's you know, going to the urinal." And there's some guy like just talking on the cell phone while he's like taking a shit or whatever, you know what? So, you know, that's like a little weird in and of itself, but
That's a no. That's a no.
but like it's whatever. But then some guy like bursts into the bathroom and like goes into like the stall like super fast, slams the door shut, and like you can he said that you could like hear him like freaking like throw his pants on the ground basically, and and he just freaking lets out the freaking biggest fart like ever. And the guy on the phone is just like silent, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna have to call you back."
Why didn't you call him back before?
Like, can you imagine that? Like, your cover's blown at that point. Like, you're like, oh yeah, dude, I can totally talk to this person on the phone while I'm taking this shit.
Oh my god.
But then you just hear this person just let out an absolute monstrous fart, and I imagine, you know, if they're farting that explosively, they're also going to get some Poseidon's kiss, you know, some splashback, you know, after the fact. So yeah, that's very audible, and your cover's absolutely blown, dude.
Also, like bathrooms have a lot of, you know, hard surfaces, so there's a lot of reverberation going on.
Bounces all over the place.
Another reason to not take a call in the bathroom. Like, there's
Yeah.
don't do that.
Who does that to begin with? Like, what the fuck?
It's a boomer move. All right, I'm just gonna say it. It's a boomer move.
Yeah.
Well,
that's my last bathroom story.
That's our episode for this week. Thanks you for listening. Again, you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and YouTube every Monday with a new episode. And you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at EWF Podcast. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.